Hi, guys. Welcome back. It's Sports with Mono and Mono, and I'm here, of course, with Eli Weintraub, my co-host. Eli, how was your week?
Busy week, and it's officially the last week before Christmas. So, Merry Christmas to all.
Yes, look at the calendar. It's the 21st day of December. Christmas 4 weeks, 4 days away. So, and we got our first little Christmas snow this
Yeah.
morning, last night. So, okay, Eli, let's jump right into it. And of course, we always start our show with the Mono-Logue, which is sponsored, of course, by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And my monologue this week is I've been getting a little feedback that we don't cover the NBA as extensively as we do football and so forth. And I'm going to tell you that there's a reason for that. Because I don't think the regular season has any interest. I know they tried this NBA Cup, which really, again, it doesn't really mean anything. But you get a chance to see Giannis, who I still think is one of the top three players in the game. Um, but it just doesn't have that appeal anymore, like the
Right.
old days. I will say this: the talent level in the NBA from an athleticism perspective is absolutely great. I mean, there's just great players in the game, but um, guys take days off or they fake injuries and they go up and they fall on the floor and they're rolling around like they were shot. It just and the 3-point shot has completely changed the game. It's no longer, defense is no longer existent in the NBA. You're seeing scores of 145 points. It's so different than when I was growing up. You know, all the players, like, let's go back to the early '70s Knicks, like Frazier and DeBusschere and Bradley. These guys played every game, and every game mattered. And today, it just doesn't. I don't think it has the same allure. So it's not that I'm down on the NBA, but it just doesn't have that appeal to me um, like it once did. The
Right.
talent level aside, but it really is. And basketball and the NBA certainly does get interesting in the playoffs. But from a regular season perspective, I'm kind of tuned out. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, to everyone's point about we don't cover basketball, here's my first reason why we don't. Right now, football is in its prime level. We are entering the playoffs in the National Football League. The college playoff football has just started as of yesterday, and we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. And I think that deserves a little bit more attention because sooner or later, when come February hits, we will not be talking about college football at all, NFL at all, because at this point, it's over. There's nothing else really to talk about except, oh, this person got traded, this head coach got fired, this and that. And then you could focus on the NBA and the NHL. And the reason why I'm saying to hold off on the NBA and NHL is because right now, those two teams and those two organizations and leagues have an up or down standings chart. Right now, one team might be good, but come April, they're at the bottom of the list because the NBA
Yep.
and NHL both have that weird flexibility where they go up and down. And at the same time, too, is we just saw the NBA Cup. The Bucks just won the game. They won $500,000 each player. Is there something really to talk about that except that congratulations, each player just got $500,000, and us, the fans, just got an okay basketball game? Really, that's how I
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah, and we get increased prices in YouTube and all this other stuff
Right,
just
and
to
now we have
watch.
to soon pay for Prime Video,
Yep.
Peacock to watch these games, no longer TNT. So again, this is why NBA is losing its prime. Yes, the talent level is great. It's improving. It's definitely a lot better and exciting to watch. But at the same time, too, is I can read off two injuries right, maybe one or injury or two that's going down the list amount of injuries and how many. Oh, we play one game next day, we'll sit out. You
Yeah.
don't see it in any other league but the NBA. So that's
Yeah.
why.
And you see it with guys like Joel Embiid says he doesn't want to play back-to-back games. Well, you're making $60 million a year. You're supposed to be playing. And the fans are paying for season tickets and going to these games,
For a
and
reason.
and these big stars are not playing on a consistent basis, right? How many times has Kevin Durant been, on the sidelines early in the season?
Right.
And I think it's a direct correlation because these guys are getting up there. When you become 35 and 36 in the NBA, LeBron James aside, um, you know, your game starts to deteriorate. Your body can't take the beating that it once was, but it's so different. The game is still the same in the 70s and the 80s with Michael Jordan, and every single game meant something to him. He never missed a game. He played all the time. And I just think the mentality of the NBA player isn't as intense as it was because I used to watch the regular season NBA all the time because anytime you got to watch Michael Jordan play and, you know, Kevin Durant and Kevin Garnett, guys like that, they played every single game, and the NBA player does not today. That's why. And yeah, we will get once the playoffs start, we'll start ramping up. But to your point, Eli, you're right. It's football season. It's college football, and we got a lot to talk about. So let's jump right into it. Let's
And we'll be
start with
talking about NBA more later. We'll get to the random points. I got some random points about the NBA and stuff. We'll have a
okay.
segment a little bit later on.
Okay. So let's jump right into college football because the playoffs have started, right? The new 12-team format. There was a game last night, which I correctly picked because Indiana, I just, they had a great season, of course. They were undefeated for a while, but Notre Dame is Notre Dame, and Riley Leonard looked really, really good last night in the running game and their defense. So I wasn't surprised. I took Notre Dame in that game. So that's
Yep.
Indiana's
Notre Dame
first team out of
had
12
to win.
teams, right? And then we got three more games today. And I think one is at 12. That's the Penn State SMU game. And then I think the 4 o'clock game is
Clemson,
Clemson,
Texas.
Texas, right? And then the 8 o'clock game tonight is Tennessee and Ohio State. So I'm gonna make my picks here, and
Okay,
these
and I'll
may be
go
a little
too
bit
for
of a
picks.
surprise to some. Right. So this won't go toward our who wears
The
the
NFL
crown. That's strictly for the National
and then a
Football League,
football
but
league. That is correct.
it's interesting enough to right. So right. So we got SMU at Penn State. That's at noon, and I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to take SMU because I haven't been overly
Wow.
impressed with Penn State. Um, I know, I know.
Hmm.
So I'm going to take SMU in that game. Now, the next game, Clemson, Texas, that's an interesting game. You don't know what you're going to get with Texas if yours is going to play, but they got certainly a capable backup in Arch Manning. Clemson that was the one team that kind of generated a little buzz, because they won their conference championship game. They got in, and teams like
Right.
Alabama didn't get in, Miami didn't get in. So this is the system that we're trying to work around and find out the flaws. It's the first year with the 12-team playoff. So, but the Clemson Texas game, I'm going to go with Texas today, even though Clemson's been playing very well. I think Texas is a better team. And the night game is Tennessee at Ohio State. And listen, I've always been an Ohio State Big Ten guy, but I think Tennessee has the tools. I wasn't overly impressed with Ohio State losing to Michigan on their home field, but they're home tonight. I think that's where College Game Day is today,
That is
actually in
correct.
Ohio, right? So I'm taking SMU, Texas, and Tennessee. What's
Well,
your thoughts?
I'm going to go with for the 12 o'clock game, Penn State. We saw last night in Notre Dame, when you have home field advantage, it means something different. Now, for Ohio State, Penn State, and Notre Dame, it's snowy and it's cold. For Texas, we all wish we were there. It's 61 and sunny. For the bottom line is, I'm going to take Penn State because of home field advantage. I think it's going to mean something here today. I'm also
Okay.
going to take Texas. I think Texas is the better football team, and I think, again, they're home. This is going to mean something. So I'm going to take them in the victory here. I'm also going to take Ohio State. I believe in this home field advantage. I feel Ohio State is that team. They deserve to be going further. The script is saying
Mhm.
they got to go forward. They got to play Oregon, the battle of the O's. So I'm going to take Ohio State in that one. So Ohio State, Penn State, and Texas for the victories.
Okay. Well, we disagree on a couple of the games, so I'm
Yeah.
I'm going out on a limb. But
And Notre Dame will
this
play Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl New Year's Day.
I know, but you got to think about what Georgia's going through. It doesn't look like Carson Beck is going to be available. He tore his UCL in his arm, so I think he's out. So they got to go with a guy named, I think it was Garrett Sanford as the backup. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So after today, that'll be four. We'll be down to 8 teams, and then next weekend will be 4 games. Very, very exciting. I love college football playoffs, and um,
Coming
it's been
from
a lot
Jack
of both.
Fitzpatrick. He says, Happy holidays. Penn State, Texas, Tennessee coming out with wins today, but Clemson's going to keep it close.
All right, Jack. Jack is our resident Minnesota Vikings fan, and we're gonna mention it's one of the NFL games we picked, but Jack is a very knowledgeable guy. And, yesterday with Indiana, Notre Dame, a couple of our loyal listeners, you know, uh, Tom Pugh he now lives in Kansas City, but he's an Indiana grad, but a big Notre Dame fan. So I don't think he's happy either way. But
Right.
yeah, when you see them stuff like that. But Jack, thanks for the picks, and I know Derek Krug is a loyal listener of our show. He's a big Indiana guy, so I know he's disappointed today. But yeah, when you look at it, they're 11-2 season, pretty good for their first, real foray into big time college football. They're a
Absolutely.
basketball school, so enjoy these games. They're all
Yeah.
on regular. What are the games on tonight? Are they on?
The first 2 games are going to be on TNT, part of their new contract, and the last game is going to be on ABC.
Okay.
2 other notes, though, from college football before we move off. Travis
Yep.
Hunter is your 2024 Heisman Trophy winner, and Penn State quarterback Drew Aller will return to school in 2025.
Oh, that's a surprise, actually. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Interesting. But listen, I wanted to follow up from last week's show. We mentioned the Division III playoffs, and we brought up specifically Susquehanna, which is a very big surprise. They're in the
Yes.
Final Four. So the matchups today in Division III, it's Johns Hopkins versus Mount Union. Now, Mount Union is a Division III powerhouse. They think they've won 13
Yes.
Division III championships. So, that should be a great game.
100%.
I don't know if are they ESPN carrying these games? Do you know, Eli?
For these, they might be. I don't.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe ESPN
Anyway,
Plus.
right. So, and then the other game is the aforementioned Susquehanna team from Pennsylvania. And like I said, it was Johnny Kredensky and local guy from New Jersey, and he's on that team, and they're playing North Central from Illinois. So we're down to the Final Four in the Division III playoffs. Wanted to mention that.
I don't see any information about broadcast. I'm assuming it's going to be not broadcasted.
Yeah, maybe it's on like ESPNU or something.
Or Plus. Has to be the Plus, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Anyway, we just want to give props to those schools, and they're down to the Final Four. ESPN Plus. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably another $20, right? To get that.
I mean, you might be able to watch it on a Disney Plus too, because I think now ESPN's on Disney Plus, so it's the same thing.
All right. What's $20 here? $20 here.
Yeah, well, why not? Just go for it.
Yeah, but you know what?
Honestly, though,
$20 plus $20 plus $20, and now you're going to be $100. That's
out of all the streaming platforms. I do think ESPN Plus is probably the better one of all the streaming platforms. Why? The NHL is on there. Monday Night Football is on there. All of the most NBA's on there. Yeah, plenty of NHLs mentioned. College football's on there. Basketball's on there.
Yep.
So I think that is one of the more worthy money spent areas, if you really consider it. Eric comments. He says, "Good morning and Merry Christmas to all." Merry Christmas
Thank
and
you,
good
Eric.
morning.
Eric does not miss a show. He is as loyal as they come, and I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. All right, Eli. So we covered the college football playoffs. Let's move on to the big boys, right? And we're down to the last 3 weeks of the season. You know, if you're a New York Giants fan, like I am, it just couldn't be more disappointing. What an ugly season! Just
It has been.
completely 9 straight losses, and they're going up against Michael Penix and the Atlanta Falcons this week. Which, by the way, I think I just heard that the Falcons are actually going to release Kirk Cousins. So, um,
That's a rumor. I don't know how true it is. I know he's been benched for Michael Penix,
yeah.
which I think it's about time. And the reason why I say it's about time is because last week they played the Raiders, and the final score was 15-9. They almost lost that game.
Hmm.
You cannot be doing that. You really should not be doing that, especially with this Raiders team who needs his draft picks coming up. This is like a little bit embarrassing. And considering that technically they're not eliminated from the playoffs, they're
Yeah, I
technically
know.
still
I
in
know.
it by my math right now. I mean, probably not anymore, but after this week, but still.
And when you think about the money that they paid him a lot of money. So you know, when they went out on a limb and they surprised everybody by taking Michael Penix early, even
Yeah.
though they had just signed Kirk Cousins. So I think, you know, maybe he hasn't come back fully from that ACL or his Achilles that he tore. It's a tough injury to come back. We can see it
Yeah.
with Aaron Rodgers,
No.
although everybody's making it seem like Aaron Rodgers is still the greatest thing.
I
If he
and
had
again, I do not. When I see him win football games in a good way, absolutely. Right now, they're winning football games because for some reason, December's looking pretty decent for the Jets right now. I mean, why am I saying decent? I know everybody's going to say why. Number one, they played Seattle Seahawks December 1st. I think it was the first Sunday of the second. One of the open up Sundays
yeah,
of December. They played Seattle. It was the first. And what did they do? They had a decent first half, and then second half fell apart.
yeah,
They could have won that game. Last
yeah,
week, they took on Jacksonville. They won the game. Now, this week, they take
yeah.
on a Rams team, which they probably will lose to because the Rams do need the playoff spot. But will the Jets give a fight? Absolutely, because it seems like that's what the Jets are trying to do in December.
Yeah, and when you think about what's going on, like you look at the Raiders, you look at the Giants, this is, you know, these are teams that don't have quarterbacks. So, you know,
But for
it,
some
it,
reason, though, there's something telling me, Jim, that the Giants are going to somehow win one of these games going forward. Within either if it's this week, next week, or the week after, because that's just how the Giants are. They're going to somehow mess it up and get a win here to mess up the
yeah, and
Giants.
we could see what's going to go on. I mean, it will come down to the Raiders and the Giants. So, you know, whoever gets that first pick, if the Raiders end up with the first pick and the Giants second, you know, and Shador Sanders is the quarterback that the Giants want. Remember, there's two quarterbacks I think that'll obviously go 1-2, and that will be Cam Ward and Shador Sanders.
Correct.
So so, you know, maybe let's keep an eye out that the Giants could make a trade if they fall to the
Right.
number 2 pick to move up, depending on who they want to be. I still think there's a possibility that if the Raiders take Shador Sanders, that there's a good chance that Deion Sanders may be the head coach of the Raiders as well.
That's a great
Just
point.
throwing it out there.
That's a
Um,
good point. We
so,
had a
like
free
I
kick
said,
the other day in the Chargers game. I mean, I never saw that in a while. I mean,
well, the reason
I
you
was
haven't
confused as
seen
well.
Yeah, the reason you haven't seen it in a while because the last time that happened in a National Football League game was 1976.
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware of the rule either, but it is if the team fair catches that you have the opportunity to get an unimpeded field goal. And the reason I think that I was trying to think about it because it's so rare because nobody normally fair catches within, you know, on their side of the field, and that's kind of what happened in this thing. So yeah, it's something we never saw before. Certainly, I know you haven't seen it before, and I can't
I know.
remember the last time. I don't know who it was in '76, but it was an interesting thing. And don't look now, but the San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers are starting to play good football,
Yeah.
and it's going to come down. So I think the Cincinnati Bengals kind of have to win out, even though there's still 2 games under 500, but 3 to play. So I think if they win out and a couple other things happen, that there's a chance. Because I think we'd all want to see Joe Burrow play in the playoffs, right? He's one of
Right.
the premier guys in the league, so that would be good. We don't want to see the Indianapolis Colts because they're not going to go anywhere. So the
Right.
playoff picture, and this is where it starts, right? Now we got a lot of Saturday games, and now, as you mentioned, Eli, and you're more astute on the programming, but now you got the NFL is competing today with college football, and on Christmas Day they're competing with the NBA. So
Yes. And now I want to go into that real
this
quick.
is
If you,
cool because it's coming down in the last week.
right. And I want to go into the whole media rights there for a second there. Just want to start off with the Saturday games. I'm kind of blaming today on college football. Here's my reason why. Yes, we knew about this 12-team format for a long time already. Yes, we know that the college football is always on a Saturday and stuff. But at the same time, too, is college football knew about the NFL that they were going to play 2 games today on a Saturday with the exact same times since May of last year, because that's when the NFL released their schedule. So what I wanted
Yep.
to understand is why is it the fact that college football could not come up with a better schedule? Maybe have 2 games on Friday night and then 2 late games today. Because we saw last night an Notre Dame game had so much anticipation and it was such a boring game. If we had another game yesterday, kind of separates, balances out.
You could look
It's a
at it
little
that way.
disappointing that that's how it was organized and stuff, because now you're competing to see what do you want to watch better. Do you want to watch a potential entertaining game, a losing game, or do we have to go back and forth and hope that we
Yeah.
can get both games at the same time? For the Netflix and Christmas Day, NBA, I think, might still win the day because Netflix might have a lot of issues. Streaming could be an issue. We saw that with the Mike Tyson fight, that they had a lot of buffering issues. If they have a lot of issues, NBA will win the day. If not,
Mm-hmm.
the NFL would win. It all comes down to the issues with Netflix.
And when you look at what you and I as sports fans, and we kind of just we talked about the NBA, but on Christmas Day, I mean, I think the majority of people are going to want to watch an NFL game, and you're right, assuming Netflix has worked out all the bugs, which I'm sure they have.
I'll see about that.
Yeah, but I'd rather watch that than an NBA game on Christmas Day.
I would too, but at the same time, I don't have Netflix, so I won't be able to watch it.
Yeah.
There's if you don't have it, you're not going to pay to watch it.
And you know what? I want you
And
to
also,
address. I want you to bring this up because you did mention it before about um, we're paying more and getting less, and you brought this up in our pre-production discussion about commercials at the red zone, right? You're paying
yeah,
enough money to, and now it's supposed to be a streaming platform, and I mean, really, we got to be you got to be subjected to. I don't have Red Zone. I
right.
don't subscribe to it, but I know that you do, and now, you're gonna have to sit through commercials on
There are a couple
a
commercials already
paid
happening.
review. Yeah.
Yes. So basically, last night, Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone, apologized to fans on X, the social media platform, for using the wrong terminology, because how he opens up is 7 hours of commercial-free football. But instead,
Mhm.
there were a couple of commercials thrown in there that took away from the game action.
Yeah.
Now, we could be potentially seeing a decline going forward in NFL Red Zone. Here's my reason why. If we see more and more commercials and less of the football action, we could be seeing a decline of Red Zone, because at that point, the consumer would not want to pay for a paid commercial service where
Yep.
you could watch the local game, still get the highlights potentially, and not have to pay for money. And keep in mind also, Red Zone always had a 20-30 second delay before they actually show the games. That's another
Oh,
point.
wow.
We always knew that because obviously there's a delay. There's a couple second delay before seeing it.
Mm,
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just asking for too much money and giving us less and less of a product, and
It's becoming worse. It's just
yeah,
becoming a money craziness.
it's very very frustrating for the fan. I agree with you
Yeah.
100%.
Three other notes in the NFL before we go to our picks and the standings chart. Buda Baker has agreed to a 3-year, $54 million contract extension with the Cardinals. Dave Montgomery's out for the season with a torn MCL injury, and
Wow.
Trevor Diggs of Dallas out for the season, 8 months estimated return time due to an injury.
Yeah, and we're seeing again. We brought this up 100 times. It's just amazing that the injuries and these concussions are just so prevalent. Like almost every single game, there's a couple of guys that leave the game and they in concussion protocol.
Right.
And I still can't I still can't understand it. I
I
really
don't either. It's
uh,
confusing, very confusing.
yeah, but I mean they're looking out for these guys, but and I don't want to, go back. I didn't play with leather helmets, but the equipment that I played with was completely substandard compared to what these guys have. And,
Right.
I didn't see guys getting concussions, at least that we didn't know about.
Diego comments, he says, I refuse to pay to watch professional sports. I already pay cable company.
Yeah, and that's
I
that's an
agree.
absolutely great point. I mean, it's just the way it's going, and you know what? The fan and us, we're gonna end up paying because we
One
can't
way or
do
another.
without. We can't do without watching these games.
I think I
And
could. I think I could do without.
well, we're gonna find out
We'll see.
because we talked about it. I said it's coming, and in a couple of years, I think we're gonna have to pay to watch the Super Bowl. And you actually mentioned that it is contractually going to be on regular
Cable to
cable television.
2033.
Yeah, so
And that's because of all the contracts between CBS, Fox, NBC, and now ABC, who gets
yeah,
a Super Bowl back.
yep. But good point, Diego. I am just disgusted by the way these sports leagues and the money that they're making. They're paying guys in the NFL and they're paying $60 million, and Soto gets 745 million. And I mean, it's just when will it stop? And I don't see it stopping at
Never.
all. No,
It will
never.
never. But let's take a look at that beautiful, ugly standings chart. Now I'm saying ugly because I'm a little nervous myself.
Well,
Here we go.
you got 3 weeks to catch me, my friend. Here we go.
36-25, Eli 32-29. I got 3 weeks, 4 games behind. Hopefully I can do it this week. That's the hope.
Okay. Well, let's like I said, I think I like our new little format where we pick
Pick our own
different games,
games. So then I
right?
agree with that. I do too. Because
All
then it's
right.
your own fault, not your person who chooses it.
Right. So, all right, let me start. I got 4 games I'm gonna
Yep.
pick. And first one is Cleveland and Cincinnati. And
Okay.
I've been on Cincinnati's bandwagon. I don't think that they're going to give up 40 points to the Cleveland Browns. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow can easily put up 40 points against the Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to take Cincinnati in that game. My second game. Now, this is an interesting game, and this has a lot of implications in the NFC East. Philadelphia is at Washington.
Right.
Now, I know Philadelphia has been on a roll where they won 10 straight games or something. Um, but I think that comes to an end, and I'm going to go out on
Really?
a limb because I've been impressed with Jaden Daniels and Washington in general. So I'm going to take Washington over Philadelphia in the upset. Now, here's a game for you, Eli. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings are out in Seattle, and you can't dismiss what Sam Darnold has done. The
No.
Vikings are on a roll. I think they've won like 9 or 10 games in a row as well. Um, but I'm going to take your Seattle Seahawks in an upset
Wow.
against the Minnesota
Good for you.
Vikings this week. So, I'm going out on a limb. So I'm either going to separate from my co-host, or I'm going to fall back into into
Yeah.
what we would term as a competition here. And the last game is Tampa Bay at Dallas. And you know what? Dallas has been playing better, but I think I'm hoping that they're going to pull the upset. Not that it has any implications for the Giants. And do I rarely root for Dallas? Of course. And I have been impressed with Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay. They're more surprising to me than I thought. But I'm going to take Dallas to upset Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm really going
That
out
is
on
a
a limb
shock
this week,
there.
buddy.
That's
Right?
a shock.
So let's recap. I'm taking Cincinnati, Washington, Seattle, and Dallas. So, like
Wow.
I said, this is gonna have a direct impact on our standings going forward.
Whew. Well, we're going to start off with mine.
Yep.
Texans Chiefs today, 1 o'clock on NBC. If Patrick Mahomes is not hurt, I would have picked the Texans. But Patrick Mahomes is healthy, so I have no choice. I'm going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs.
Is he healthy?
He is healthy. He's going to play today.
Because he is a warrior.
He is Patrick Mahomes. That's why I have to pick him.
Okay.
Rams Jets, 1 o'clock CBS. I need an easy one here. Rams are fighting for a playoff spot, so it's got to be the Rams in this one.
Yeah, that's no surprise there. I would take that too, actually.
Patriots Bills, 425 on CBS. Got to be Buffalo. Buffalo's too good right now. I have to take Buffalo here. Saints Packers, Monday night, ESPN, 8:15. Saints almost came off with the victory last week, but the Packers coming off an even big win to Seattle last week. They're home. It's got to be Green Bay. Give me the Packers. So I'm taking the Chiefs, the Rams, the Bills, and the Packers. We'll see who comes on top next week on Sports with Mono-Logue.
Okay, well, I you know what? You picked 4 games that I probably would have gone exactly the way you did. Hopefully one of those won't come to fruition. And I'm not sure Patrick Mahomes is healthy. Those high ankle sprains are tough. But like you said, he is a warrior.
He's Patrick Mahomes, and you know that they drugged him up somehow.
Yeah. All right, that's going to separate us for sure, Eli. So good games you took.
And good luck.
Yep. We touched on that, and
let's go to random points, I think.
Yeah. So let's just touch base real quick on the NHL because from a Rangers fan perspective, they traded their captain, they traded their once promising star, so they have been reeling and losing games. It's just
I love it.
And I know you do because you're a Devils fan, but I think one of the key pieces that they let go was Barclay Goodrow. And, he's not on that team. So it seems like it's had more of an impact than I had even anticipated. So, but the hockey season, it's a long season. They could bounce back. They go, as you mentioned before, teams go on these runs and then they lose games. But, the Rangers, they're still in the mix, but they got a lot of work to do. And your Devils are, I think, right now a better team than the Rangers. And you're not seeing, some of these stars like Matthews in Toronto. He's only got 11 goals already. So I mean,
it's been quiet. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. McDavid's not scoring a lot of goals like he was. He's getting a lot of assists. But and his contract is coming due pretty soon. So Edmonton, I think this is a make or break year for them. Otherwise, David walks. McDavid. Yeah. So hockey is it takes the back seat, like you said, with all this football stuff going on. But you and I are both hockey fans, and we enjoy the game.
Both love it,
right? So it's a long season. So just wanted to mention that. In the NHL. Okay, Eli. So we do have some random points I wanted to bring up.
That's sponsored by Lynch Toyota.
Lynch Toyota, who, by the way, Mike Lynch is recovering very nicely, and he's back at home. And we wish him and his family, all the best for this holiday season. I'm so happy that he's home. Spend time with his family, so it should be great for him. A couple of things. Surprising, right? In the NCAA soccer tournament, Vermont wins their first national championship.
I know.
That's kind of big.
It's a first, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think they beat North Carolina, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, something like that. But congratulations to the University of Vermont. My nephew is a graduate of University of Vermont. So for Diego sitting there, we do talk about
Soccer.
soccer. You know? And I know you follow a little bit more about soccer than I do.
Right.
Um, but I know there's a lot of fans out there, the Frankie Pisanis and the Derek Krugs. These guys love this Premier Soccer League like Diego does.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm into the World Cup. I guess that's
If it's
my
on TV, sure. If it ain't
yeah,
on TV, you will not be seeing me watch it. I'm so sorry.
yeah, I got it. So Major League Baseball. So the Yankees lose out on Juan Soto.
Hey.
So that leaves them this money, and they went out and they signed Max Fried, who is a quality pitcher, and happy to be
Like Diego
Diego.
said, I
Yeah,
picked Vermont at the beginning of the year.
yeah, sure he did. Right. Yeah, so the Yankees went out and they got Devin Williams from the Brewers, one of the premier relief pitchers. They got Max Fried now in the starting lineup to go with Luis Heel and who was the rookie of the year. Um, so the Yankees are not sitting still. They still have some holes to go. And when you think about what the Yankees have, they have these prospects. Jason Dominguez is their prize prospect. So are they going to give him the opportunity to see if he's a Major League Baseball player on a full-time basis? Yes. Um, the option still was out there for Pete Alonso to play first base. But now they got Cody Bellinger as well, who is delighted to be a Yankee because his father used to play for the Yankees. So Yankees aren't staying pat. So can they fill the void that what I also thought though, Eli, when you think about Alonso, and yeah, he's kind of a 240, 250 hitter, but he hits a lot of home runs. I think the Mets are going to make him an offer that he's going to stay with the Mets to complement this Soto deal.
Yeah.
But the Yankees could sweeten the pot a little bit, but you don't want to overpay for a guy that hits 240. You don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
Yep. And college basketball, which is starting to heat up because all the interconference teams are starting to play. So the Big East, couple of big surprises so far. There's Cooper Flag. So Cooper Flag, right? Maybe one of the best college basketball players in the country. He was 17 years old. So I think he turns 18 today. So he's an old man already.
Yeah.
And guys like the Providence team is not living up to their expectations. They had a lot of a lot of 5-star recruits that come. They'll come together at some point, but the Big East is starting to be very, very competitive. I watched UConn the other night, almost lose to Xavier, but UConn got off to a very, very slow start this year. They already had 3 losses, but they got some great players. There's Caravan and McNulty and or whatever his name is. So they got a lot of talent. So look for college basketball to start ramping up as we get into the winter months. Because I love college basketball.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, it, here's something that was interesting. I think you and I actually brought this up and how this nil portal and the paying of college athletes is becoming a bidding war, basically, and that's what's going on. Now, the University of Alabama is asking their alumni to contribute to a specific NIL fund because they feel like they're losing players because of the
How
fact
everything
that
went
they
on.
don't have this open war chest to pay these guys. So, it's probably $60,000 a year already to go to Alabama. It's just changed the whole landscape of sports and on the NCAA level. I don't know if it's a good thing. And like I
Yeah,
said, I think it's directly related to why Nick Saban and Jay Wright and those great college coaches, they're not able to build traditionally the powerhouses that they are, because you could transfer tomorrow and play for that team. You don't have to sit out anymore. And now it's a dollars and cents thing. And I think
absolutely.
it's hurting college sports
In general,
more than people
believe it.
realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got one other one, and I thought
Okay.
this was kind of an interesting thing because Sammy Sosa has finally come clean and apologized to the Chicago Cub fans for being one of the all-time dirtiest, phoniest players, and the fact that he's the only guy to have 3 seasons of 60 home runs, and we know it was based on steroids. So he's trying to get back into the good graces after years of denying it. And, the Chicago Cubs they'll welcome him back. And, I just hope they don't retire his number in the same, like Ernie Banks and some of the great
All that.
Chicago Ferguson Jenkins and the great pitchers that they had. But I can't stand it. You, after 20 years of denying this to now come clean, there's got to be a motivation behind it. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of an ugly scene to me.
Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
Eli, sure you got some random points.
Oh, I do indeed. Let's start off with this. As remembered, we mentioned on the top of the hour, the Bucks are your NBA Cup champions. They did win $500,000 each. I don't usually encourage this, but I have a good feeling the Bucks are not going to go to the NBA Finals because there is a curse. Lakers didn't do that last year. So if there is a bet out there that says they don't go to the finals, take it.
Mm-hmm.
Some advice from Eli.
Yeah.
Next,
And it's so funny because you brought it up that $500,000 to the winning team in the NBA Cup, the guys that are making 50
enough money already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the NBA All-Star game will have a different format. It'll be a mini tournament with 4 teams and 3 games. The exact rules are as followed. 24 NBA All-Star selections divided evenly into 3 8-player teams. 4th team is Castro Rising Stars champion. Honorary team general managers are TNT analysts Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Candace Parker. Barkley and Smith will draft their rosters from a pool of 24 NBA All-Star selections. Parker is the GM of the Rising Stars champion. 2 teams meet in the semifinals game 1. Remaining 2 teams meet in game 2. The winning teams of game 1 and 2 advance to face each other in the championship game 3. Winner of each game is first team to reach or surpass 40 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody can digest that and make sense of it, God bless
I don't
you.
either. I read it all and I'm still confused.
I mean, I guess they had to do something because the NBA
It was boring.
it
Beyond
was
boring.
totally boring. Totally boring. No defense. It's just
It's
it's a
horrible.
3-point shot exhibition in a game. So
Yeah.
good luck. I'm not going to watch the NBA All-Star no matter what format they have.
All righty. The Nets are finalizing a deal to send guard Dennis Schroeder as a draft pick to the Warriors for Anthony Melton and a couple of draft picks. Jared McCain of Philadelphia out for a while with a lateral meniscus injury.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix will now be carrying the English broadcast for the 2027 and 2031 FIFA Women's World Cup, taking over the rights from Fox Sports. This is beyond horrible move. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, if Netflix cannot have issues and succeed with the NFL, this could go down as a great move. If it fails with the NFL, this could go down as one of the worst sports moves in all of time, with taking over NFL and now with the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2027 and 2031.
Well, can the men's World Cup be far behind in this whole thing?
It depends. It really all depends, but not. Yeah, we'll see about that. Meanwhile, Michael Vick has been named Norfolk State's next football head coach.
Yeah.
Corey Bellinger is no longer a Cub. He's now a Yankee with the new deal signed this week.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for the Yankees.
And the last note is Party City is going out of business after nearly 40 years, closing all of its U.S. stores, not Canada. Makes sense. Prices are always ridiculous, always expensive, and it's not Halloween. And if it's not Halloween, they're usually not good at all. And Amazon has ruined a lot of these businesses, as we mentioned.
Yeah, there was plenty of those around New Jersey, right?
Yeah, one down the street, Edgewater from me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So people are buying it off Amazon. People don't
Yep.
want to leave their
You don't
houses.
understand. It's amazing how Amazon has ruined our country. It really has. It has helped, but yet ruined our country.
Yeah, it's a monopoly. That's for sure.
That's what it is.
And they're going through some strikes now in the New York City warehouses and so forth. So
Well,
I don't know.
no surprise. Well, now
Yeah.
it's time for the entertainment and photo segment. It's sponsored by Vital Selection. Don't forget to scan the QR code to learn more.
Yes. And I'm getting some good feedback on our Vital Selections product. I've given out samples to several people that have been taking it. They like it. I haven't tried it because I have a phobia with beets. So I don't know. I know it's a good thing, and maybe I should.
Great thing. I'm not a fan either, Jim of the Beats, but if there's another product though, maybe we'll try it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
but this is
Uh,
this is a good product,
it is.
so if you try it, you can go to Vital Selections. They have the website, and you could do a review on Amazon as well.
Yeah. Diego comments. He says horrible move for the average soccer fan.
Yes, it really is. And that's why I brought it up, Diego, because, if they do this to the men's, because the men's World Cup generates incredible ratings, certainly on Fox and their satellite stations. Yeah, that I would hate to see that too. Because we're all, like I said, we talked about it all show. We're just so sick and tired of paying to
For all
watch
these stuff.
sport. It's
Absolutely.
just nonstop, nonstop. Okay. So Eli, it's Christmas time, and like I said, I finally got an opportunity to watch my two favorite Christmas um, shows, and one was Frosty the Snowman, of course,
And
and the
Rudolph the
other is
Red-Nosed
Rudolph the
Reindeer.
Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yep. So usually I get to watch them. They're usually on Monday, but now they're all over the place. So I had an opportunity, and they never disappoint. But I'm going to do a Christmas movie because that's the time of the year. Um, and I don't think we've ever brought it up, but there's a reason A Christmas Story runs a marathon because I think it's a great Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I actually love it.
It's
I
really good.
can't watch it 20 times. And a lot of people talk about, what are the best Christmas movies? Is it It's a Wonderful Life always
No,
seems to come out on top, right?
it's Home Alone or nothing.
Okay.
But
But have you seen Christmas Story?
I have.
Okay.
I have. Yes. Well, yeah, obviously Home Alone you got to watch if you have not watched it yet. Um, the Griswold's the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
It's
I
not bad
can't
too.
say I'm a big fan
Not a
of
big
that
fan of that
one.
one, but I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Other new things. There's tons of movies out there that just came out. Mufasa just came out yesterday. Moana's in theaters. There's a lot of stuff out there. So go to your local movie theater and watch it because there's some stuff out there. And the other one for Christmas Day, as you mentioned, ABC Christmas Day, 10 in the morning, Disney Parks Magical Christmas Day Parade, followed by NBA basketball. You also have Netflix has the NFL Christmas Day games, and ESPN2 has the Disney Dunk the Halls basketball game with the Knicks and Spurs from the animated Disney World.
Wow, we cover it all on this show. We cover it all.
Absolutely. And now we got some photos because why not?
Yes, and it is Christmas, so that's my Christmas tree or our Christmas tree, and
Absolutely.
it's beautiful, it's shaped, and right behind it, of course, I have my Elvis Presley picture.
Is it a fake tree or is it a real tree?
That's a real tree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
We had a fake one for a while. And this one is interesting. Just look at this picture. This is from the 1962 Giants Packers championship game. And look, it's absolutely brutally cold there. The Packers won the game. But look at the heating system that they had to use
That's
back then.
rough. That is
Look at that.
rough.
They got like a little campfire to try to keep these guys warm in those brutal conditions.
Wow.
Now they got heated benches, heated seats, and it's so fun, so funny how things have changed in the world of sports. But I thought that was a classic picture that I found.
I would have quit the team if that was me right now. I'll be quite honest with you. And last week I had the opportunity to go see the Edge in New York City. This is the view 1,100 feet up, looking down by our state building in the East River. It was pretty cool. definitely recommend going to see it if you're, a big fan and you could handle the heights, 1,000 feet. There's a plane literally because LaGuardia is off to the left and behind the Empire State Building, and you could see like the planes are literally like it feels like you're next to the plane, but you're not. That's just how cool it is. Like it's pretty
Wow.
amazing.
And I think if we talked about, I think that's what they term Hudson Yards in
Yes, that's at the
Manhattan.
Hudson Yards. It's not the vessel, that little weird shaped building. It's the tall one, all the way on top.
Right. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like your tree in the background too. So
Yeah.
we're very
We're
festive on
festive.
this
We're
show.
festive on the show. I know. I
We're
love it.
festive.
We
Absolutely.
love it. Next week we're gonna have New Year's.
I know. Yeah, it's hard to believe it's going to be 2025.
2025. It's
Yeah,
crazy. And now we
yeah,
got some notable passings, however.
we do. And I'll start off because I got a couple here. Some names that people may or may not know, but from the world of sports. Jimmy Wilkerson, 43, used to play defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs and won a national championship in 2000 with Oklahoma. So 43, very, very young age. Um, Wanted to mention that. And one other player, and we're talking about age, this kid, Gleaton Jones, 23 years old. He was on the Georgia national championship team in 2021. He was kind of like a backup running back, but never made the NFL. But we point out that these guys had great college careers, and 23, it's very, very young. So wanted to share that with us. And one other one, and I know we've been beating up the NBA pretty good today, but
Oh yeah.
there was one, and I remember this guy at the end of his career. His name was Dick Van Arsdale,
Yep.
and he had a twin brother, Tom. Both played in the NBA, and as a matter of fact, Dick Van Arsdale, who was 81, has his number retired by the Phoenix Suns. So that's what kind of a player he was. And I certainly remember him playing with his brother, and
Pretty cool.
yeah, they were both they both went, and we were talking about Indiana today, right? They were both
Right.
Hoosiers. And I know when they were being recruited, Adolph Rupp at Kentucky, he wanted those two guys to play for Kentucky, and they chose Indiana. So that was an interesting thing. But he was 81 years old. Good player. Good player.
Yeah. The other note I have here for today was Hall of Famer NASCAR driver Fred Lorenzen has passed away at the age of 89. He was born in 1934.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. So he had to be in the 89 years old. So those are the Richard Petty days and the early days of NASCAR. And he put it on the map. And I don't watch a lot of it. I don't watch much of it at all. But NASCAR is a very popular sport in this country.
Absolutely, it is.
Wow, Eli, we covered a lot of stuff on this show today.
We did. And we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And we hope
Yeah.
you again tune in next week when we will have our final New Year's show for 2024.
Yes, hard to believe this is going to be our final show of 2024.
One more coming up. It's crazy.
Yeah. But
Well,
I got to
think of all
tell
the
you,
memories for that one.
I've enjoyed you sitting in the co-pilot seat with me.
Absolutely.
And we're starting to pile up the viewership, and it's really
love
great.
it.
But you're doing a great job doing the production, and like I said, you can watch our show on Facebook and YouTube
And wherever you can find it, but mostly
Right.
YouTube. Watch YouTube.
Yeah, and
We also appreciate comments as well, so don't forget to comment.
of course, whether you want to comment on the show or you can send us an email at sportswithmono@gmail.com. So, Eli,
Merry
I wish
Christmas.
you and your family a very Merry Christmas, and to all of our loyal listeners, have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll be back here next week with the final show from 2024.
Take care, everyone. Have a great
All right,
day.
guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.